Today's experiment is going to be looking at how pendulums work. Now, pendulums are really anything, any kind of weight, mass, hung from a string and swinging back and forth. Like the hypnotist, your eyes are getting heavier. Just kidding. Anyway, so if we're going to be using washers in the classroom and some kite string, and we're going to be swinging them back and forth and looking at that. But if you don't have a washer, it could be anything. It could be a battery. It could be a pair of scissors. It could be a couple Legos. It could be a rubber ball. It could be a stuffed animal. Basically anything that you can tie on the end of a string can be a pendulum. And it can be any kind of string. It could be kite string. It could be dental floss. It could be shoelaces. Could be an electrical cord. If you still got your headphones from back when we used to have non-wireless headphones, you could use the string. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you use as long as you've got some kind of string and a weight hanging from it, and then somewhere to tie that to so that it stays still. We're going to be using some ring stands here in the classroom, or if you're not sitting at a desk with a ring stand, you might be using a cabinet and just hanging it from the cabinet door. At home, this could be anything. You could hang it from anywhere you can find a place to just tie a string off to and let it swing. So once you have a pendulum, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. You got a piece of string, somewhere to tie it to, something to tie to it. You've got a pendulum. Now we're going to figure out what decides how fast that pendulum swings, right? What we call the period of the pendulum. The period of the pendulum is the amount of time it takes for it to make one complete cycle from here, back there, then back here again. That's the period of this pendulum. And we're going to figure that out by letting it swing for 30 seconds and counting the number of times it comes past us on one end. 1, 2, 3, for 30 seconds. And then we're going to ask ourselves, well, okay, what things might change the period of this pendulum? We could change the amount of weight that we're using here. We could change the length of the string. Or we could change how far we're pulling it back before we let it go. All of those things might change the period of this pendulum. And so we're going to test each of those things one thing at a time. So if you're working on this in the classroom, simple enough. You're going to take yourself a piece of string that is about 60 centimeters long, or maybe a little longer. And I'm going to suggest that you just take that and double it into a half a loop, and then just tie it once on itself so that you have a nice loop of string. Once you've done that, it's easy enough to put it on the ring stand just by passing the loop through itself. Now it's tied on. And we're going to do the same thing. We can just pass the loop around the mass, the washer, to get it to hang from that. All right? And then we've got our pendulum. It's got a mass hanging from the ring stand. Right? Simple enough. Now, for some of the labs, you need to have more than one washer. Well, that's easy enough. We just stack more than one washer on when we loop it in. All right, we can untie this easy enough and use 2 washers. For some of the labs, we need the string to be shorter. We don't need to cut the string. We can just wrap it around the ring stand until it's short enough, right? And we've used up enough of the string. And then when we're changing how far we pull it back, we can just lay a ruler here and decide how far we want to pull it back, and we don't have to change anything about that. Now, of course, if you're in my classroom and you don't have access to a ring stand, we could also do this lab just by tying it to a cabinet handle and letting it hang from that over the countertop. That's no problem at all. The ring stand isn't really what makes this a pendulum. It's just something we're hanging the string from. If you're at home, same thing goes. That string could be tied to anything. It could be tied to some rafters in your basement. It could be tied to a handle in a cabinet in your kitchen. Really anywhere convenient that you can tie a string and hang it so that it's free to swing back and forth. You just look around your house and see if you can find some place that works like that. Now, the really nice thing about Investigation 5.2 is that the supplies for this are very simple. Once you've built the pendulum, we're going to do all 3 experiments with the same equipment. You're just changing the length of the string, the amount of weight, mass on the end of the string, and how far you're pulling it back. So it's really the same equipment over and over again. So even though we have 3 different experiments to do, we're going to ask you to do all 3 simply because the equipment's always the same and you don't need to go find any more equipment. All right? Good luck with it. Let us know how you do.